Okay, Sergeant at Arms.
Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. This meeting of online presenters is beginning right now. Guests, we ask you to understand that if you want to be a member of our club, you have to be either current or former Toastmasters International member and have completed at least 6 of the official speeches. But if you have really substantial experience, you can apply for membership after you demonstrate your ability with a 1 to 2 minute speech during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to the approval of the members of the club. Now, everyone, if you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure that it shows your name and any role that you're going to play. Simply right-click on your face and select rename in order to do so. Please be aware that we have guests from many countries throughout the world. And so as a professional organization, we ask everyone, please be aware of your language and word usage so that you won't be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. And please note, we are recording the meeting, and your video and audio contribution may contribute to our club marketing purposes. If you are not speaking, we ask you to mute your mic. Please welcome to the virtual stage our President, DTM extraordinaire, Mr. Lou Brown.
Thank you, Madam Sergeant at Arms. Welcome, everyone. Happy Juneteenth Day and happy Father's Day to all of those out there who are fathers or fathers-to-be. Hope you had a wonderful weekend and get ready for another wonderful meeting of online presenters. And welcome to our guest, Mr. Piskorski. I see your nickname is Stanta, I believe. I'm just not sure how to pronounce GJST.
That's guest.
And could you?
Okay.
Lou is frozen.
That sounds like Lou's internet has just gone.
I'm sticking out.
He was doing the gargling Gershwin audio there for a few minutes.
Can you hear me? I turned off.
Yeah, he's.
We are still having a problem with Lou's audio. So with that, we will turn it over to the Toastmaster of the day. Adrian, would you like to start us off?
Hello, everyone. Today's our theme for today is, and our word for today is equinox. And if the grammarian could put the definition in the chat, that would be great. So summer is our theme. We will start with the tip of the day, Ms. Deborah Carr.
Hi, everyone. Well, what I'd like to do is just give you some additional tips about once we're past, as you move forward and you start to speak before groups, because everyone here truly is just on a professional level. It's amazing to watch so many of us. And the big thing is when you're called, is to find out a lot about the group. Male, female, what's the percentage of it? What's the age of the group? What's the building like? What's the room like? Which you can ask a little bit later, but the main thing is what is your audience and how are you going to relate to them? The next thing is let's say that for one of my contracts I worked with the plumbers union. Now the plumbers union, as a general rule, doesn't really care about image. They do in certain respects, but they don't really. I'm not going to talk to them about dressing to the nines to just make a great impression. It's going to be how I can give them great tips to work in, to enhance their image, to increase their bottom line. The other thing is you want to always make sure it's relatable, make sure that that the time with them is fun. Even if you just drop a couple quick stories about, let's say, for instance, with the plumbers union, about getting stuck with that nasty, awful toilet before you had to call them. because they really are just awesome people for coming over and cleaning out your toilet. And you want to be sure that you tell them how great they are. So make it relatable, make it fun, but most importantly, give them some great tips of how, whatever it is that your profession is to help people, just give them some great tips so they can take something away with them. I hope this helps. That's the tip for today.
Thank you very much for that. That was amazing. At this time, usually with our meetings, we're going to introduce all the roles. And of course, I would like to start with the timer so he can give us the time for that tip. Teru. Toastmaster Teru, you're on mute. You're still on mute. We can't hear you. Okay, perfect.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'll serve as a timer today. Every speaker are required to speak within the range of time. And please pay attention to my screen. I will change the color of my screen according to the time protocol. And the time protocol is different from speech to speech. For example, in prepared speech, you will see a green screen at 5 and yellow screen at 6 minutes, 6 minutes, and red screen at 7 minutes. And if you notice the red screen, you have to wrap up your speech within 30 seconds. And I think you will already know the time limit of each speech. So please be careful about your time management. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. And our counter, Toastmaster Lewis, please.
Okay, I'm not sure if I'm frozen again. Hopefully not.
No, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I apologize in advance. I don't know how much of my intro anyone heard, hopefully some of it. But if I happen to freeze out again, I apologize. I'll just keep coming back as often as I can. My internet's fairly unstable. Anyways, I counter, I'm gonna be looking for those clutch words, double starts, ahs, ums, ers, any of that kind of usage. Sentence starters like and, but, so. We'll provide a report at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Awesome. Thank you. And our grammarian, Toastmaster Graham, please.
Thank you, Toastmaster Adrienne. I'm the grammarian. I will be watching for the use of the words of the day. I've in fact decided to use 3 different words. Equinox, which is when day and night are equal. That happens in spring and in autumn. Solstice, when the day is the longest or the night is the longest. That's what we have today, the solstice. Or pivot, because that's what both of them mean, when things change. So I'd like you to use one of those words at least in your presentations tonight. I'll be listening for language that soars and also that crashes and falls into a dirty great heap. And so I'll be making a presentation on both of those at the end.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. And now our watcher, Toastmaster Richard, please.
Good evening. My job is watcher, and I am going to be keeping an eye on everybody as we proceed through the meeting. I will be looking for various things that people are doing when you're looking away, when someone is speaking, etc. And I will report on what I see at the end. Back to you.
All right. Thank you so much. And next we'll have our chat monitor, and I believe Maggie volunteered for that. Is that correct?
Marianne.
Marianne, I'm sorry, Marianne.
No worries. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I'm Marianne Grady, and I will have my eyes on the chat to see what everyone is talking about. We discourage you using the chat while we have speeches going on, but we encourage you for the rest of the meeting to interact and chat it up in the box. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. And now our vote counter. Could you please explain your role and let us know what's going on with the vote counter? Ms. Toastmaster Joni.
Depending on what side of the world you're at right now, it may be the summer equinox coming up or the winter equinox coming up. whatever solstice you find yourself in, I'm bad at time. So because of that, at the appropriate time, I will share the link in the chat so it gets to all of us wherever we are at the time that it is. And based on utilizing the link to vote, I will report what everyone chose as their side of the world, whatever solstice they're in, the person that they saw that they thought was best. Back to you.
Okay. My voice, sorry about that. Thank you so much. And at this time, I do want to acknowledge we have a guest, guest Stan. Well, I want to just say welcome to our club. We thank you so much. Typically, we are definitely an advanced club. We've done more than 6 speeches, and welcome. We hope that you will join us in the future as a member. And thank you so much. We will now move into our speeches, the most favorite part of the meeting. Toastmaster Angela Heath is going to be our first speaker of today. Now, she will be speaking on hot new freelancers, how they can craft an offer that makes their heart sing and their cash registers go cha-ching. And she will also be taking questions from the audience. So please get your questions prepared. You're welcome to put them in the chat. If she gives us an opportunity for you to speak, she'll ask you to raise your hand. There's a little icon under reactions that you can see a little hand raised, and then sometimes you can see it also by your photo, the 3 dots. So at this time, can the timer please give the time for her speech, please? Toastmaster Turu.
I'll show you the green color when she reach 15 minutes and change my color screen to yellow at 17 minutes and red screen at 20 minutes. And I will ring the bell when she reaches 20 minutes to show you that the session is over. All right? Okay, thank you very much.
And point of clarification, Toastmaster Turu, is it 18 minutes at yellow, 15 minutes at green, 18 minutes at yellow, and 20 at red? That's what's on the agenda?
I'm not sure, but Angela told me.
Is that correct, Angela?
15 is
15 minutes,
green, 17 is yellow, and 20 is red.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the.
Would you
thank you for the.
repeat? Would you repeat?
You have it correct. 15 green,
Yeah.
17 yellow, and red for
20.
20.
And I will ring the bell. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So thank you so much for that clarification. At this time, Toastmaster Angela Heath.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. As I do this presentation, I am going to ask you to participate. However, I would prefer that you leave your questions till the end of the presentation. So please get a piece of paper and a pen, or if you're able to, take notes on your device. So when Q&A starts, you will be prepared to get everything clarified. So let's get started. I am talking about your irresistible offer. And this is part 1 of a larger presentation. It is for freelancers who are interested in earning income. What we're going to cover today in part 1 is 3 very simple areas. Why is this whole freelancing issue hot? What's the context for today? And then what are the options that you have the ability to consider? Finally, we'll end with the part that everyone is interested in, and that's the how. We're going to talk about mindset shifting as well as your superpowers. So let's get started. To give you a little bit of information about me, because you're probably wondering, why am I training you on this? I've been a consultant for over 25 years. I had great customers, federal agencies, as well as medical organizations, corporations, large and small, and also large nonprofit organizations. Now, some of you know my story. You know that I had to close my first business because my 12-year-old son at the time was diagnosed with leukemia.
Ooh.
And so I had to go to become a hospital mom. And after that, try to figure out, well, how am I going to earn some income? And guess what? Self-employment saved me. You see, I didn't work for 3.5 years, but because I had already been self-employed for so long, eventually I went back to my roots and I figured out what I could do. So I wrote my 4th book, which helped my second company get off the ground and start earning some income. And I share this with you because I want you to know that I don't just say this for you, I've done it for me. So why is self-employment so important right now? Let me give you some quick statistics. Freelancing, consulting, whatever you want to call it, is growing 3 times faster than any other workforce possibility. And it's been growing that fast since 2014. In 2017, 36% of Americans had earned some income from freelancing. Today is 50%. And I would venture to say with the pandemic that it's probably actually higher than that. Now, this last statistic tells the story. 40% of employers are using independent workers. And because of the pandemic, that number is soaring every month. It's a great time to be self-employed. Pretty soon, who knows, it may be the only way to be employed. Now let's take a little closer look, because some people usually say, well, hey, if you're self-employed, you have such unpredictable income. And that's true to some degree. So here's an average salary for one of my federal clients. It's an organization that pays their employees pretty well. So on average, they're making a little over $99,000 and they're getting paid $48 an hour. Most freelancers in the Washington, D.C. area will charge anywhere from $100 to $200 per hour. They don't work the entire 20/80 for pay because when they take vacation and all of that, they don't get paid. Then you take another 50% out for the time when they're doing administrative work. So you see, they only have 920 billable hours versus the 2,080. And even with that, look at those salaries. 100,000 is 92, at $100 an hour is 92,000, and on it goes. Then people tell me, well, hey, there's more than that. There's other considerations, there's benefits, there's taxes, there are expenses. Yeah, there are. But if you are charging enough per hour and you're getting your billable hours in, you can afford all of these. The what? Freelancing consulting has endless options. You can do it as a side opportunity, part-time, seasonal, online gigs, or you can actually do it as full-time. Whether you establish a consulting firm, which is what I did with my first business, or you decide to do freelance work, which is what I did with my second business. Now let's talk about this mindset shift that you're going to have to make in order to really get into this. Very quickly, you got to think like a CEO, strategically. You're not just a doer, you are a planner. You need to have a growth mindset. Many people who go into consulting will tell me, I'm not sure if I can do this. There's so many things I don't know. But my answer is you can learn. There's so many things most consultants don't know until they learn it. You've got to get comfortable with the unknown. Your salary is not guaranteed, but you can manage your money to handle that. And redefining failure. See, if you are in consulting, freelancing, you don't look at it as failure. What you understand is this test and learn. Test and learn. Even the big guys do that. And then finally, you have got to know that your experience is uncommon. Now let's talk about your superpower, because you have a superpower within you that you probably don't even know you have, right? So here's some questions for you. How can you use your skills with a different company or a different industry? How can you use your hobbies in the marketplace? Here's some proof. This gentleman is 83 years old. He used to be in television, but when the pandemic hit, he had to reframe his skill set. And now his company, called Company Flex, is similar to a Netflix for companies. He teaches company owners how they can create video that helps to market their companies. And he made 6 figures last year. Here's a 30-year-old who started his side hustle knitting. Believe it or not, there are tons of people out there making a ton of money from their hobbies. $200,000. He started this because he had COVID and he was so nervous. He actually said he thought he was going to die. And when he didn't die, he quit his job and sold knitting lessons. Isn't that amazing? So you can go over to my website and put your email in. If you would like to have a free copy of this gig assessment, we won't really be able to take the time to individually go through it right now, but I have put the link in chat. I'll just give you the highlights of what it's all about. See, the gig assessment is based on the fact that you probably don't remember your greatness because there are things that you did many, many years ago that you don't even remember. There are interests that you have. There's talents that you buried that you don't even know. So with this assessment, you're going to look at your brilliance, your talents, your hard skills, your life experience. All of these will matter as you begin to craft your irresistible offer. You're also going to look at what certifications and trainings you have, your hobbies. What are you curious about? Interestingly enough, all of this can turn into a great opportunity. Don't forget your passion or your physical capabilities. Funny side note, I know a woman who got a job as a side hustle at Amazon in the warehouse. Guess why she did it? She did it because her friend got a job and lost 20 pounds. This lady said, I don't want to pay to go to a gym and I don't have the motivation to do it at home. I'm going to get a job at Amazon to lose weight and get paid. So once you take a look at all of that, you may find yourself looking like this. Here are 2 examples that I love because they're so colorful. You can Google and find examples of this all over the internet. Emily figured out she's great at marketing, but she didn't want to compete with all of the other marketing firms. She distinguished herself. She's the fractional CMO for smaller companies that can't afford a full-time one. And Ethel, listen to this. When she started the doggy washerette, She had no idea how popular it will be. She does such fun things to distinguish herself from everybody else, like these pet-friendly dyes and painting toenails. People love their dogs, and she's doing very well. Now, once you identify all of these areas of brilliance, then I want you to use this part of the tool and ask yourself, what can you create? What can you complement, increase, accelerate, stop, streamline for each one area of brilliance that you are interested in discovering? So after you do that, it becomes much easier to figure out what would be your irresistible offer. Now, here's the key. Whatever you decide that you want to do, you have to meet an urgent need, an urgent problem that someone wants to solve right now, and they've got to have the money in order to do that. You want to hit it right in the center. You want to understand who your target audience is and how you can help them solve that problem. So to recap, we've talked about the why. Why is this whole freelancing? Why is this critical for you to understand right now? The workplace is changing. It will never, ever be the same. That's what some of the futurists say, and I agree. We talked about the what, how it can look very different. You can freelance or do consulting on your own terms. You can have a small business as insurance in case you get laid off, like so many millions of Americans. And we talked about the how, looking at your brilliance and then figuring out how you can use that brilliance to solve urgent problems. And with that, I'd be happy to take some questions. Go ahead, Graham, unmute yourself.
You mentioned in your figures that the average gig worker is getting between $100 and $200 per hour in the DC area, and you use that as a comparison against, say, a federal worker. Do you have any figures for those outside the DC area? I'm just wondering if you've got somebody, if you've got figures from, Des Moines, Iowa, or Muskrat, New Jersey, or somewhere where, I'm just wondering whether those figures translate nationwide, or whether that's whether DC is a special case.
Graham has an excellent question. He wants to know the figures I gave were for the DC area, and what about other parts of the country or other nations? Graham, in most cases, you'll find consultants, the prices that they charge match up to where they're selling. So you mentioned, I think, Idaho or Iowa as one of the states. You will find consultants, if they are working in that area, they are going to charge what the market will bear in that area. But here's something that I feel is like wonderful. We have a global economy now. So you find people in many other countries who always wanted that American dollar. They're able to get it now and raise their standard of living for their entire family. Next question, Stan, how can I help you?
You seem to be equating gig work and consulting work. And it seems to me there's a big difference between those two categories. Consultants, yes, make $100 to $200 an hour, but gig workers, people who perhaps are washing dogs, may not make the same as a consultant would make. Can you show the difference in numbers between gig workers and consultants, and not leave those lines so blurry?
Stan, thank you so much for that question. That's a really important question. I apologize if I caused confusion. When I use the term gig, I am not talking about all of those articles you see in the paper when you talk about the race to the bottom. I am speaking to a group of professional people who will get gigs. I had a consulting firm for 20 years, and every contract is a gig. All a gig is a short-term contract. Now, some of those short-term contracts that I've had before actually lasted 3, I've had even one for 5 years, but it was a gig. They could let me go whenever they said the contract had been finished. So we're talking about professionals who've decided they don't want to work as a W-2 employee. Instead, they want to work on their own terms. Next question, Joni. And you're muted, Joni.
My apologies. I am all the way in Jamaica, and I know that this club caters to an international audience. So your statistics and information speak specifically to the United States. How does this translate internationally? That's my first question. And then my second question, some people don't know how to monetize their skill due to the 9-to-5 and what they're used to, get paid an hourly rate. Can you assist somebody in monetizing that or giving them some suggestions?
So Joni, thank you so much. Joni said that this is an international issue. She's in Jamaica. How is it going to work there? With some of the work that you can do, Joni, and everybody else, all you need is your skill set, your interest, and your computer. That's all you need, because you can do the work online. You can also find gigs through the online marketplace where you don't spend a dime until you start to earn some income yourself. So yes, there are many people in Jamaica who are doing quite well as consultants, freelancers, gig workers. I don't think I have any more time for questions, but let me conclude with this. This is an opportunity that I encourage everyone to explore. And I think that I've made it clear that there are many reasons why. But one of the things that has happened since the pandemic, so many people found themselves outside of work, and they have forgotten who they were. They forgot the brilliance that they have. And those who did are suffering right now. Those are the ones who lost their jobs, lost their homes, lost their families. But the people who were not afraid to explore their brilliance and to try something new and offer it out there on their own, many of them are doing quite well, and most of them are at least able to pay their rent. And with that, I turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Angela. Now, she just gave us a speech on crafting your irresistible offer. I thought it was really interesting. My head was spinning, churning, thinking about ideas. I was like, okay, there's an assessment. And then there's also a question in the chat that you can respond to if you can, please. They want to know, can you assist someone who is unable to monetize their skills? And so you guys can check the chat for that as we move on to our second speaker. Our next speaker will be talking about the crossover. She'll be speaking from the visionary communication level for building skills, building a social media presence. Rosina, Toastmaster Rosina, discusses her experience with the creation of a new social media presence based on a project she's working on during her speech called The Crossover. At this time, we will hear from Toastmaster Rosina Duncanson.
Thank you so much, Adrienne. A pleasant good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp, Facebook. There are so many social media platforms. And if you're anything like me, how do you decide which one to use and how do you use it? But I had to try. So I've been using a personal Facebook account for quite some time. I've got maybe 800 plus friends, and of course, friends is used kind of loosely, persons that have said, can I be your friend on Facebook? And I've said, sure, no problem. You can follow me and see what exciting things I may bring to my social platform or not. But just a couple of months ago, I decided to be bold. I decided that I wanted to be known as an author. When I was much younger, I wrote lots of poems. These are things that I wrote when I was happy, when I was sad, when I just felt like expressing myself through words. And I wrote them down, put them on a piece of paper, and put it on my shelf. And now 20 plus years later, I decided, you know what, it's time for the shelf to be cleared and for someone to potentially enjoy the things that I would have written. I'm a big believer in persons can learn from your experiences, they can be entertained by your experiences, or they can empathize through your experiences. And I'm hoping that what I did would do just that. But now here's the kicker. I was told that I have to take my personal Facebook account and I've got to change it. I've got to make it into a page. And I'm like, oh, but how do you do that? Like, how do you go from just being an individual person to now being an entity of sorts, trying to give persons a main reason to connect with you, not many personal reasons, but one main reason. And so because of this book, I've been asked to create a Facebook page. Toastmasters and guests, I will not tell you one word of lie. I was nervous because now I have to create something brand new. And I've got to do something called branding. I have to kind of align what I'm trying to put out there and make it match to what I want to share on Facebook. And so what I'll do is I'll show you what I had to do. I'll start from top to bottom. Give me 1 second to share my screen and let me know if you're able to see it. Just 1 second. All right, here we go. Can I get confirmation you can see my screen?
We can see
Yes,
your
we can
screen.
see your managed page.
Perfect. So this is my managed page. I had to create a page with my name on it. So the very first thing was I had to build a page with my name on it. And then I had to go ahead and identify a picture. I had to find a picture that stood out that said that I have written a book and I'm an author. And they made me decide to put details on there. I had to do something called a cover page. So I had to go and learn to design. And so not just creating a social media presence, but you have to know a little bit about graphic art, trying to find the right picture, the right words that's going to display your message. And so I did just that. And there's something else called content. And so one of the first items of content that I include on the page was the primary purpose for the page, which is the cover of a book, my book that's coming out. And so I decided that this was the best place, the best way for displaying the book. And then it goes on to other posts that are relevant to the topic. And that was critical for the social media presence, creating a page, creating something that was relevant and included details that was on target. Now the question was asked, why not use any other social platforms like Instagram or TikTok? And the truth is, for me, is familiarity. Because a part of having to manage these things is you have to know what to do. Will I use it in the future? Absolutely. The first thing though is to identify someone's going to help me. Perhaps maybe a freelancer who is very well versed in the topic, who's prepared to charge a nominal fee for supporting me, or maybe I might take a few classes. But when it came to building the page, I stuck with what was comfortable, and I stuck with being able to take the persons I already knew and ask them to also like and share the page. So my crossover was going from personal to a page, asking my current friends to now follow the new page and utilizing this page now to be a very specific place for the product that I want to display, which is the book. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Wow, wow, wow. I know that when we all need pages, we'll be calling you. Those graphics were incredible. The imagery was very crystal clear. It was very interesting. I wanted to know more. It was eye-catching. It made me want to buy the book based on the cover. So you did a great job with that. So thank you for sharing that. At this time, I need the timer. If you could please tell us the time of the speeches and then possibly put that in the chat.
Okay.
Toastmaster Turu, distinguished
Okay.
Toastmaster Turu. I didn't know you were a DTM. So I apologize to the distinguished Toastmasters tonight. I will go back and correct that.
No problem. The Angela Heath speech lasted 19 minutes and 19 seconds. And speaker number 2, Rosanna Duncanson, Toastmaster. Her speech lasted 5 minutes and 47 seconds. So both are qualified.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster, distinguished Toastmaster Turu. And at this time, if you would send your votes by private chat to Toastmaster Joni. Toastmaster Joni, are you DTM? Okay, I want to make sure. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So at this time, we will vote as we move into our next section. I would like to introduce another distinguished Toastmaster, David Carr. He will be our topics master for tonight. If you could please explain what the topics master does and then do your segment. Thank you.
Okay. The topics master will challenge you with a topic for which you have not had time to prepare. That's the basic value of this. Is I always say it's the thing that's going to prepare you for that moment in the business meeting when the boss turns to you and says, so what do you think? You got to be ready to go. And so what do you have to be ready to go on this time? Now, there are a couple of ways of doing topics master. Some people call on the person and then give the topic. I was taught the better way to do it is to throw out a topic and let everybody squirm for a minute. Think about whether they're going to be called on, and then you pick the person. And so, topic number 1, summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your ma's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. Now, nobody's going to confuse me with Louis Armstrong, but I want to know, is summertime the easy time of year for you? Let me ask Deborah, no relation Carr. You have a problem with your mic, Deborah, or you don't want the question? Or
Here we are. I'm sorry.
there we go.
I was reading the chat. So I heard your wonderful voice saying, please tell me the question
Is
again.
summertime the easy time of year for you?
It is. Summertime is a wonderful time of the year for me. It really, I like all 4 seasons. That's why I stay in Michigan. However, fellow Toastmasters, I know some people like just all warm weather, all cool weather, but especially in the summer here, it just changes continually. If it was like Rick said earlier, it was 57 the other morning, but it'll be 93 tomorrow or 96 or whatever it is going to be here in Michigan. And I just love it. There's so much going on all the time. And especially here in Michigan, we are surrounded by water on all sides of the state. Why not? Love it. We also have the sand dunes, wine, all kinds of wine country. We have so much going on. And that's what makes my summertime some of the best, especially when the kids were little and off school. Back to you, Mr. David.
Okay. Alice Cooper sang, school's out for summer, school's out forever. What was it that made you look forward to school being out? Rick Derling.
To be truthful, when it comes to summer and school being out, I actually really enjoyed the opportunity to learn in school. But it's a structured environment. You're going to learn math. You're going to spend time on social studies. You're going to spend time in gym, sweating in the summer. Not something I really care for, to be honest. But summertime, now that's a time when you can go out and explore the natural world. Or if it's just too hot, it was also quite possible to go and explore the world in a library. And today, you get an opportunity to even do it easier, because you can choose to sit in front of your computer and do searches that would take you hours, if not days, in the library in minutes. That is what I looked forward to when I got out of school, was the opportunity to explore the world in any way that I chose. It doesn't get any better than that. So quite frankly, summertime and the living is easy, you betcha, because you get the opportunity to choose what you want to pursue. Back to you, David.
Right, very cool. You know, this is the all song lyrics edition of Table Topics today. This one is not really on theme with summer. It's just something that was, you know, an earworm. It's something that got into my head today, which is the Traveling Wilburys singing, "She has a body for business and a head for sin. She knocks me over like a rolling pin." And when I looked up that, when I was trying to find the lyrics to the song, I stumbled across the fact that apparently it was a variation on something that Melanie Griffith's character says in the movie Working Girl from the 80s. She said, "I have a head for business and a bod for sin." So she had it the other way around. So I may get in trouble here by asking one of the ladies, but Marianne, what's your body built for? Business or sin? A little of both.
Well, I have to say, I don't know if I really want to share that with you, David. But having worked for many, many years and all business all the time, I have to say, since I've retired, I'm a little more leaning the other way. I'm enjoying my days. I'm going out and swimming and hanging out and going out to happy hours. So we're doing a lot more fun things that might border on that sin side. But truly, I am a business person. And even though I'm retired, I'm only semi-retired because I couldn't give it all up forever. But I am enjoying life a lot more since the day I retired and since I've moved to Delaware. And I expect that I'll like it even more when I move to Florida in a few months. So
There we go.
that's my scoop. I still haven't really spilled the beans. Back to you, David.
Close enough. Avoiding answering the question is part of the skill. So Toastmaster of the day, how many time do we have time for? A couple more or?
Yes, you have time for one more.
One more. All right. How about hot town, summer in the city, back of my neck getting dirty and gritty, bend down, isn't it a pity? Doesn't seem to be a shadow in the city. All around, people looking half dead, walking on the sidewalk, hotter than a match head. Stan, would you like to take part? Have you spent a summer in the city? What's your experience of summer in the city?
Well, Mr. Table Topic Master and my fellow Toastmasters, I have spent many summers in the city. I used to live in the northwest side of Chicago, and I lived in the city of Milwaukee while I was going to school up there. And my first summer in the city, I spent working third shift at a gas station on the south side of Milwaukee. And that was a lot of fun because you'd see a lot of very weird people in the middle of the night working third shift at a gas station. So I enjoy summer in the city. I'm not a big fan of summers, actually, which is why I live in the Midwest. And I think that having a season that is a little bit warm for a little while is just fine, but I prefer much more moderate temperatures like the kind we get in the spring and the fall. Even the winter's not so bad because all the bugs die. And those of you who don't live in this part of this country have no idea what I'm talking about. But since I lived also in South Carolina, I know that the bugs never die in Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, and the Gulf states. So come on up here. We have no bugs most of the year, and we have plenty of water to drink. Right, Michiganders? Mr. Table Topics Master.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Timer, can we get a timer's report, Tara? You're still muted, sir?
The first table topic speaker, Toastmaster Deborah Carr, 1 minute sharp. The second speaker, Rick Darling, 1 minute 12 seconds. And third speaker, Marianne Grady, Toastmaster, 1 minute 5 seconds. And the fourth speaker, Toastmaster Stan Piskowski, lasted 1 minute and 20 seconds. So everybody was qualified.
Okay, so vote for any of the above. Vote early and often. Back to you, topics, Toastmaster of the day, Adrian.
Thank you. Can you, at this time, if you would please vote for your favorite table topics speech. And those votes again will go to Toastmaster Joni. And as I understood it, everyone qualified except for Deborah Carr, Toastmaster Deborah Carr. And I must say that when you start singing, I was like, okay, I didn't know we were gonna get some singing tonight. So then I felt left out. I wanted to participate because since it's summertime, you know you should have been singing, summer, summer, summertime. Let us sit back and rewind. So whatever the
Don't
words
even
are.
know that one, but
That's Will Smith, Summertime. It's the summertime song. So yeah, thank you for that. At this time, we do have a special moment. We're going to hear from my Vice President of Membership, and he is going to be telling us about items we need to wrap up to close the year out. So at this time, I don't know, are you here? Is someone here to do that part of the meeting? The Vice President of Membership?
That part of the meeting is only if we have a new member, and we do not tonight.
Okay, so we can skip that?
Yep.
Okay, see, we could have done an extra one. Okay, perfect. So at this time, we will cast our votes and we will move on to the general evaluator. And if you can, Mr. General Evaluator, if you could describe what you're doing and also describe what your team will be doing as you take over the second half of the meeting. So at this time, we'll be hearing from Andrew, Toastmaster Andrew, for a general evaluator.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the evening. And so far, so good. We're moving on to my favorite part of the evening, and is evaluation part. Is what we're doing really well on a high standard level, and I'm sure that evaluators who will come up later on today will prove the point. My role today is pretty simple. I'm a general evaluator. I'm going to introduce the evaluators who will give their feedback on prepared speeches. After that, we'll move on to the reports from the helpers, from the vote counter, grammarian, timer, and so on and so on. And then in the end of the meeting, I will give you a few evaluations of myself. I know that I've been keeping notes, and I can tell you straight away that so far, David Carr, with his singing, Summertime, is right on top of my list. So, anyone can beat David Carr? We'll see. But now, I would like to call up on this virtual stage is Andrew Byrne at DTM, who will be evaluating Angela Heath. Really interesting speech. Andrew, please take it away. You are muted, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Mr. Journal Evaluator. And thank you, fellow Toastmasters, DTMs, dignitaries, and most especially Angela Heath for delivering a longer speech, which is level 4, on crafting your irresistible offer. What a wonderful speech. I think that every person that wants to look for a new job or is in that situation that you described after COVID can now not be despairing, but know that they can move themselves into monetizing their hobbies or interests or passions outside of their job and replace that income. It's a wonderful thought. It's one that led to the description of what's been going on as the Great Resignation, where people are deciding to not continue in their old job, to move on to something new. And this had a lot to do with what your speech was about. First off, I want to say that this speech hit me right in the heart. You had a very intense, informative, thorough report on what alternatives people had and how they can really turn their hidden dreams, their hidden thoughts, their passions into something that can generate income and replace enough income for them to, 1, take care of their rent, but 2, potentially exceed what they were making before in the JOB, as we used to say. So those comments were very important. You were very organized in delivering your content, very organized. And a lot of information came through with each of your discussions. It's hard to find areas that to give you recommendations on, but one might be to remember that you've been, as you said, in the business for more than 20 years. And things that are commonplace for you may not be commonplace for everybody else. David's famous expression for that is jargon. If you're using jargon from within your business that we may not all be familiar with, then that's something that you should consider better defining. And in terms of the gig economy, which everything was based on, or a large part, it would have been worthwhile to move that part of the speech up and define what the gig economy was to put us all on the same page. In terms of delivery, have to give you kudos there too. He had great voice, dynamic, a lot of content was talked about with highs and lows on your pitch. You had time to pause and you engaged the audience with questions and things that you did that allowed people to be engaged in your speech. So those were important elements. In summary, very, very thorough, great content, good vocal variety, gestures, a little bit. So you can work on that as well. But overall, provided such great content that everyone in that circumstance would love to listen to that speech. Look forward to your next one.
Thank you very much, Andrew, for your thorough evaluation. And next evaluator is Jim Barber, who will be evaluating Rosina Duncanson's speech about her social media presence. So, Mr. Jim Barber, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, my fellow Toastmasters, our guest Stan, and especially, of course, Toastmaster Rosina Duncanson. Rosina, this was a presentation from the Visionary Communications Path, Level 4, Building a Social Media Presence. And this was terrific. You knocked it out of the park. This was an entertaining and effective presentation. It was very useful and you interested everybody. I'm going to start with the vocals, and here everything was top notch. You had the 3 C's pegged. You were conversational, you were comfortable, and you were confident. Very, very well done. Your vocal variety is superb. You didn't, at no point did you stagnate. Did we wonder where you were going? You changed your pace, you changed your speed, you changed your volume as it was appropriate. That was great. The the best thing about your presentation vocally was your use of the pause. I loved it, for example, when you said, I was nervous. That was so much more powerful by pausing between those words than if you had simply said, I was nervous. I was nervous. Terrific. I loved that. Now I'm going to pivot. Ta-da! I'm going to pivot to the visual side of the thing. Let's see. Hang on a moment. Doody. There we go. You had the camera close to your face, and that was wonderful. You did that great. The reason being, you have terrific facial expressions. Some people, I won't mention myself, some people have a rather deadpan approach when they get on camera. You don't. Your facial expressions were terrific. You were communicating so much strictly through the way you looked on camera. That was wonderful. However, there are a couple of problems with having the camera so close to you. And I recommend that you stay with that. But when you had gestures, your gestures were generally down here. They were probably pretty good, but they were too low in the camera. You need to bring them up beside your head so that we can see them more up here. But that's a very minor thing. And also by having the camera close to your face, let's see if I can kind of do it here. You were not looking at the camera some of the time. You were looking slightly off to the side. Wouldn't be picked up if you were further back, but you were close enough to the camera to where you really need to zero in on the camera itself. But those are minor points. This was a terrific presentation. My only regret is that it was such a fascinating topic. I wish you could have talked longer than the 5 to 7 minutes, because I was hanging on every word and I would like to hear more. This was a terrific one. I'm looking forward to your next presentation. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Jim, for this evaluation. I hope it was helpful to Rosina and she will take it on board. We had 2 speeches today, so 2 evaluators. Now it's about time to ask our timekeeper for his timekeeping report. Toastmaster Toru, please let us know how the evaluators did and what was their time.
All right. Our first evaluator, Toastmaster Andrew Byrne, 3 minutes, 15 seconds. And second evaluator, Toastmaster Jim Barber, 3 minutes, 7 seconds. So both are qualified for voting.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Timekeeper. So since 2 evaluators qualified for your votes, you should be able to see a link that I think our vote counter will put in the chat in seconds, or it should be there already. Click on the link and vote for the best evaluator for the evening. I can't wait to find out who is that person today. Right, so this part of the evening is concluded as well. But my job is not over yet. We're moving on to the next segment, which, of course, every single meeting as online presenters and most Toastmaster Club runs smoothly because we have help. We have help to run this meeting. And now, one by one, I will be calling all the helpers, all the people without whom this meeting could not take place, who would share their reports. Please keep it brief, within 1 minute. 1 minute is my recommendation for your reports. And the first person I'm going to call on this virtual stage is our accountant, Louis Brown, DTM. Please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Fellow Toastmasters, we always do very well when it comes to ahs and ums and filler word sentence starters, things like that. We are a seasoned group, we're a professional group, and everyone does a great job with, especially with their prepared speeches, in preparing for them. Our most common sentence starters, I tabulated, and by the way, I'm doing this the old-fashioned classic way. I don't have a fancy spreadsheet to share with all of you but I used my ears which never failed me. So I think I got pretty much this down pat. Okay, in this order, and, so, but, and now were common sentence starters. A few people actually combine some of those with some and so's and nows. Common filler words, and ah. There were also several you knows and I would like to's, which is complete filler. You can simply start with whatever comes after that. I would like to. That is my report, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Lou. Perfect timing as well. And as you can see, Andrew Byrne assisting, he's got his timing right on top of the screen, so you can pay attention to that. Thank you, Andrew. The next important helper I'm going to call on stage is grammarian Graham Kearns, DTM, please.
General Evaluator Andre, I'd like to say this has been a meeting without any grammatical errors, but I can't say that. See, that's where you use I'd like to. There have been one or two, but I'll get to those in a moment. First, those that use solstice or equinox or pivot, I noted Adrienne, Joni, and Jim. There may have been others, but those are the only ones that I noted down. Angela said, I've been a consultant for over 20 years. Now, this is a pet peeve of mine. Over is something about you have over and under. More than or less than. I've been a consultant for more than 20 years. I have been over the table with my tablecloth. As I say, just a pet peeve of mine. Rick used a really great phrase. You get to choose what you want to pursue. There was a really nice, almost onomatopoeia, but certainly a rhyme there, and that was really well done. Also on the subject of really well done, I love Jim's 3 C's. There was confident, conversational, something else. I didn't quite jot it down, but I love the fact that the 3 were used there. However, something I will say for Jim, he also used the word terrific about 5 times in 3 minutes. Try and find another word for fabulous, exceptional, really, really good, whatever. And also Jim used knocked it out of the park, which is a nice cliche, but it is a cliche, which, by the way, is an observation I would make for Andrew. Andrew said, I give you kudos. Now, I give you praise, I really acknowledge, those are all good. Kudos has become one of those phrases that we are using perhaps a little too much. There were some delightful turns of phrase. There were no really bad grammatical errors. I thought we'd done okay. Yay, yeah. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Graham. And I would like to remind that all helpers, please stick to 1 minute schedule because we're quite tight on time. We need to make sure we finish meeting in time. So the next I'm going to call is Watcher, Richard Darling, please.
Thanks, Andre. Very quickly, everybody did a nice job in being well lit and generally positioned properly. One comment for everybody. Just remember, sometimes when you get distracted by something away from the camera, people can tell, and that can be a problem for speakers. It wasn't tonight, but it's just a reminder that distractions are just that. Your mind is wandering away from what the speaker is saying. Back to you, Andre.
Thank you, Mr. Watcher, Richard Darling. And the next, very important, chat monitor. Chat monitor, Marianne Grady, please tell us about your observations.
Well, thank you, Andre. Tonight we started with a weather report from around the world in the chat. We had the lyrics to Jack and Diane from John Cougar Mellencamp. We had questions for Angela. Somebody mentioned YouTube University, and we had lots of remarks about David's remarkable singing. And that led to some other musical entries. Adrian commented on Jim Barber using screenshots during his evaluation, and David said that is his trademark move. Back to you, Andre.
Thank you very much, Marianne. And I think I mentioned all the helpers who taken part in today's evening. Thank you for your contribution in your reports. Similar to me, just 2 things I'm gonna mention very, very briefly. One, I just would like to say thanks to Adriana, our Toastmaster of the evening today, for her energy, efficiency, and just keeping meeting really, really going, like a proper structure in place. I could feel it. At the same time, one little recommendation to Toastmaster of the evening is just to arrive early. You are the head, you are the main person on the stage. Please, next time, perhaps be a little bit earlier so we can get to know you and we make sure all roles filled. All roles, apart from one, have been filled in advance, which makes everybody's life easier. Overall, still, in my favorite table topics master, David Carr, nobody beaten singing and preparation and all that energy that went into just a few table topics. Oh, the good thing is that we're recording all our meetings, and David Carr could enjoy himself watching over and over and over again him singing on our YouTube channel. For those who don't know, go to Online Presenters YouTube channel run by David Carr again and enjoy it. So overall, wonderful evening, insightful. I really enjoyed it. I hope we all got a bit of knowledge from it. At the same time, another exciting part of the evening is our vote counter report. Please, Johnny, let us know who are the winners of today.
Drum roll, please. And our best speaker today is Toastmaster Angela Heath. Now, our best table topics was so close that while I will announce the winner, I will also announce the runner-up because it was so close. Our guest, Stan, and I'm not going to massacre your last, oh, that's colloquialism. I will not destroy your last name, but our guest Stan was so close, but he was beaten out by the brains and the bod of Marianne Grady. And for our best evaluator, we have Toastmaster Jim Barber. Great job, everybody.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you for your report. Wow, it made me even sweat. Oh, anticipation. Who is going to win this contest today? And we have our winners. Overall, to me, brilliant meeting that we all learned a few things. Now I'm just going to wrap it up and pass this virtual stage to our club president, Lou Brown. Please take it away, sir.
Thank you very much, Andre. Appreciate that. I know that I'm sure the voting must have been very tough because I enjoyed both of our speakers, especially of all the speaking segments, and I learned so much from both of you. So thank you very much for those awesome speeches. Mr. Carr, I think we should probably create some 2 or 3 minute audio bites of this meeting with zeroing in on your speaking, on your singing segments and post those to Facebook. I think that'd be a great marketing tool to have folks come and join us and check us out.
You don't like people on Facebook? Is that what we're trying to...
Well, I think like Rosina, well, sorry, that's the only platform I use most of the time. I should also broaden my own horizons and use some of the other ones, but they can all accommodate that as well. We can put them on Instagram and other places. Wonderful. Okay, we have about a few minutes left. I would like to hear from our guest, Stan, on what your reflections of our meeting. What did you gain? Stan, I believe you have joined us once before. If you have not, okay. Please share with us your thoughts on our meeting.
No, I don't think I've joined you before. For the last 2 years, I've been on the lookout for clubs that position themselves as different than traditional clubs, mostly looking for those that are aiming to help people become professional speakers. And so I happen to belong to a club called Virtual Professional Speakers that's out of St. Louis and is also international. And I thought I would see, well, what are these other clubs that are not necessarily positioning themselves as professional, but advanced? And so I'm trying to figure out what makes you all advanced. So to me, it felt like a pretty traditional Toastmaster meeting. So in that sense, you all did a wonderful job. The speeches were well done. Nobody was umming and ahhing their way through anything, but it felt like a pretty normal Toastmaster meeting to me.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And when you sent me your email address, it looked very familiar. So I think maybe we had run across each other maybe in another Toastmasters meeting. So that's why it sounded familiar. And yes, I mean, we do run our show much like all of the traditional Toastmasters clubs. We do strive to present a lot of different and unique things, the tip of the day being one of them that Toastmaster Deborah Carr presented. And also some different workshops and events throughout the year where we have guest speakers. I'm not sure if you've ever attended EVVCon, formerly known as VTMCon, but that has been largely, first of all, due to the efforts of our club, and then largely led by, supervised, managed by folks from this club as well. So that, and right there is kind of a testament to the seasoned, the experience of the members of our club. We are right at about 8:01 right now, and I know for some folks it's probably 2 or 3 in the morning. I will officially call this meeting to a close, but stick around if you can, because I have a couple of things to share with you. Please stop the recording.